So this is also an older one that we're going to start with here, but it's one that I definitely really enjoy reading. Those of you who have slices, this is in that book. This story is called Remake. Awake again, I see. No, don't try to get up. Are you comfortable? Do you want a glass of water or anything? No? Where are you? No, this isn't a hospital. You asked me that yesterday, do you remember? And the day before that, and the day before that. You're sure you don't remember? Not any of it? No, this isn't a hospital, you weren't in an accident. You're fine, you're in the peak of health. But you should be starting to form short-term memories again by now. Maybe I did give you too much. It's not easy to measure the right dosage. Too much would have killed you. Small doses barely do anything. They use it in motion sickness pills, I believe. That's right, yes, I drugged you. What's the last thing you do remember? A nightclub, a pretty girl buying you drinks? One of my fans. Nice to know an old man like me still has fans. Fans will do anything. Slip something into your drink for... Don't struggle. I'm afraid I meant you can't get up. You're strapped down. It's for your safety. We can't have you taking the bandages off too soon. Quiet. There's no point. No one's going to hear you. We're the only ones here. And I really do need to tell you what's going on, and I don't have much time left. You do want to know, don't you? What's going to happen to you? Where was I? Oh, yes, the drug. Scopolamine, the doctors call it. I'm not quite sure I'm pronouncing that right. The nice young man in Colombia who sold it to me called it the devil's breath. That's so much more poetic, really, for something that comes from such pretty flowers. It just makes you suggestible. Highly suggestible. Any suggestion I might make that you should, say, come with me to my house, check yourself into the care of my personal specialists, sign any paperwork I need you to sign, it just all suddenly sounds so reasonable, you see. The devil's breath. They use blowguns in Colombia to dose someone with it. I think that's why they call it that. The natives used it centuries ago to talk their wives and slaves into just calmly lying down on their dead chiefs' graves and letting themselves be buried alive. I found all this out when we were researching zombie legends before we filmed White Voodoo. Now the light dawns in those dull eyes of yours. You do recognize me? Do you know where you are now? Look, try to focus. Do you see the posters? Faust, Night Comes Swiftly, White Voodoo, of course, and Pray for Dawn. Naturally, you'll have seen that, of course. Don't you tell me you haven't. That's right. Take a good look at this face. Franz August, you know who I am. The Angel of Fear. I made over 60 of these films, most of them with Malaise Studios. And somewhere in this sprawling old house, I still have the poster for every last one of them. You'll have to pardon an old man his vanity. And you'll have to imagine what it's like. You can do that, can't you? Pretend what it's like to be someone else for a little while. Imagine walking these halls every day after the phone has stopped ringing and all the fan mail has slowed to the occasional letter or postcard. Walking down the halls and seeing this face staring back at you. Like a hall of mirrors that never, ever changes. When the mirror in your bedroom shows a different story. Shows you a face that's lined and cracked and pulled tighter year after year across your skull. A face that not even the most gifted plastic surgeon in all of Hollywood tells you he can't save any longer. Think about it, Mr. Meyer. Oh yeah, I know who you are. You don't think I was around when we pulled you out of a crowd, do you? Yes. Of course this is about Pray for Dawn. Everything in my life is about Pray for Dawn. I don't know how many of my films you've seen. The kindest thing I can say about most of them is that I did my best. I tried to look past the cheap sets and the cheap starlets and believe in what I was doing. And sometimes, not always mind you, but sometimes I was brilliant, even when the film itself wasn't. This isn't just my vanity, this is truth. They call me the Valentino of horror, do you know that? Audiences loved me, they really did. The women wanted me and the men wished they could be me. Hell, half the men wanted me too, and I can't blame them. Look at that face, at those eyes. I was beautiful. Michelangelo could have sculpted that. Wasn't I beautiful then? Don't look at me like that. I didn't bring you here to have my way with you. If I wanted that, I could have done it back when you were still drugged. You're here for something else. I'm getting to that, but we were talking about Pray for Dawn. Malius Studio's last great gamble. Their most expensive film ever. It nearly bankrupted them. They broke their backs financially, and they never tried anything that ambitious again, ever. Their one last attempt to get critical acclaim and mainstream success, and they very nearly made it. They'd hired a real director, someone with vision, and the most brilliant lighting director I've ever worked with. But I was still their star. They never even considered anyone else. And it worked. It all worked. Audiences screamed and laughed and wept. It did better box office than any of their releases ever had, but it simply wasn't enough to justify what they spent. But still, we had done something to be proud of. Made a nightmare that would last for generations. Of course you know all this. I'm sure you do. If you've done any research at all, or even if you just turned your television on around Halloween, you know it. I just have to be sure. I want to know that you understand what it is you're fucking with. Pray for Dawn is mine. It's what I was going to be remembered for. My face flickering 24 times a second in the dark, forever. Can you understand that? I know it wasn't your idea. I know that. I can't imagine you even have ideas. I've seen your movies, the entire Jeff Meyer oeuvre. Popcorn romances, Mr. Meyer. I saw A Walk in the Park. I saw that cheap little Breakfast at Tiffany's knockoff, whatever it was called. And I've seen you try to do Jane Austen, and frankly, Mr. Meyer, I'm not particularly impressed with any of it. Oh, you can act. I'm sure you can, whether you normally bother to or not. You have the spark for it, I can tell. I have a sense for these things. But your, oh, look at me, I'm a bad boy act is not, it's not dangerous. Not the way I was dangerous. It's safe and commodified and prepackaged. It honestly hadn't occurred to me. Can you believe it? That after decades in this town, I still had one bit of naivete left? It never occurred to me that anyone would ever think to remake Pray for Dawn. I should have known, there are no ideas left, and this city dines on nothing but its own flesh. But even if I had known, it would never, in a million years, have crossed my mind to imagine that you would be cast in my most famous role. Frankly, it's insulting. I've been trying to imagine, what could they be thinking? I've been looking through all the trades, staring at every picture of you I could find, trying to see it. What were they thinking when they looked at this man and thought, yes, he could be the next Franz August? Pardon me, I have to sit down. I can't let myself get this worked up. Not with so little time left. The thing of it is, you see, I can almost see it. The jawline was close but not perfect. There was a certain set to the cheekbones. You have a particular dark smile that's close to mine. I can almost understand. I spent days not sleeping, just trying to figure it out. Then I finally slept, and I woke up to a moment of absolute clarity. I woke up, I looked at your pictures, and had the same thought I always had when I was looking through a new script. There'll have to be some changes. Calm down. Calm down. There's nothing you can do. It's already done. I already told you, I know the best plastic surgeon in this tired old city. He's already done his work. You have to consider it from my perspective. Either you'd fail or you'd succeed. Either your remake would be a disaster or somehow surpass the original. Either my film would be tainted by association or overshadowed. One way or another, forgotten. And when people remembered my most famous character, it would be your face they remembered, not mine. So much for my immortality. I had to do something. Surely you appreciate that. My surgeon friend was harder to convince. I don't think I could have talked him into it. Not without the devil's breath. I admit, I am a little concerned about the quality of his work under the influence of such a drug. But I supervised. I watched every step, and believe me, this man is an artist, just as much of an artist as I am, as much as you have the potential to be. I have every faith in him. So we're nearly there, you and I. We're halfway done. I'm sorry, where was I? Oh! Yes, there was just one detail, one last little thing. The one thing I see in the mirror that hasn't betrayed me. These eyes are mine. Just the same. Windows of the soul, they say. My eyes are the brilliant sharp blue of a frozen sky. Variety said that. Yours, I regret to say, are not. Dull and flat and almost gray. Colored contacts might work, I thought? No. Cheap, tacky, unconvincing. But there is a way. I didn't think there was, but there is. There's a Dr. Murakami from Yokohama. His flight will be arriving just 1 hour from now. He's been doing amazing work, really revolutionary, using stem cells to promote retinal neuron growth, cone migration. He's a leading expert on intercellular signaling and nerve cell targeting. His animal trials have been highly promising. He's never done this to a human before. So just think, Mr. Meyer, you'll be a part of history, whether it works or not. There is a chance that it won't work, of course. There are hundreds of thousands of nerves to reconnect, but what's art worth without risk? He had his conditions, of course. He's an ethical man. He refused to use the eyes of a living donor, you see. So, there's that. The poison I've taken is supposed to be, well, relatively painless. So there's a small comfort. To me, I mean. I don't expect it to concern you. And in your case, there's absolutely no way Dr. Murakami would replace a patient's perfectly healthy eyes. Have you ever seen my classics, Mr. Meyer? Have you seen White Voodoo? With my character, the Loa King, and his army of followers, their black faces painted with pale skulls, mine painted with a jet black skull. They might call it racist if they made the film today, but I still think that's one of the most striking images we ever produced. It still haunts me sometimes. Have you seen it? The ending where the Loa King uses his zombie drugs to make the hunter put out his own eyes with his Bowie knife? I don't just collect posters, you see. Props as well. This blowgun, this knife. You can keep them if you like. You can keep the whole house. The paperwork is done and it's all over but the screaming. You're going to be the new angel of fear, Mr. Meyer. When you open my eyes days from now and look at my face in the mirror, you'll thank me. You will, trust me. I just wish I could have seen it all finished, but... Good night, sweet prince. We won't meet again. Keep screaming. Breathe deep. And... cut! Thank you.